Hello and welcome, independent researchers, skeptics, and all of humankind to Shadow Citizen.
So, if you were listening live this morning, we had something of a train wreck. We had a bunch of echo come in, and I'm not sure why, but anyway, it sounded like this. Okay, welcome to our first episode of Shadow Citizen. I am Gunny. Welcome to our first episode. And through the magic of post-production, I'm able to clean it up a bit. And so the rest of the show is what it really sounded like after we got everything straightened out. So listen and enjoy. This is the magic of post-production. Welcome to Shadow Citizen, our inaugural episode. You can hear us on mixlr.com//ShadowCitizen, and from there you can go to chat, and you can chat with us there, or else you can check out our latest schedule over at ShadowCitizen.online. So we're using a .online instead of a .com, so that's important. Anyway, my name's Rob Ossell, and my co-host is
Rachael L. McIntosh. This is awesome. Rob, this is the best. This is our inaugural episode, and when you do it the first time, it's never quite right. So this is going to be, for the record books, our most awesome first show.
Yeah, I think so too. So, okay, I got rid of the echo, so here we are now. And why don't we start by telling everybody about ourselves? I'm Rob Ossell. I've lived in Minnesota my whole life, and I've been a handyman, carpenter, and tool maker, various things. Had a bunch of different jobs. A year ago, I started doing this little radio broadcast on Mixlr, and that's where I met Rachael. Rachael, tell them about yourself.
My story is that I went to art school. I have a painting degree, and then through a bizarre twist of fate, I ended up working for a defense contractor. I worked there for 6 years, almost 7 years, and I became the marketing communications specialist, which means I was doing all sorts of stuff with marketing for this defense contractor. And I had to put stuff together for the news. I left that job when I became pregnant with my twins, and long story short, I got involved with politics, trying to fix what I'd seen going wrong at that defense contracting place, what a ripoff it was to the American public. And then I learned that politics was equally as much of a disaster. And I wrote some books. And the books hit #1 on Goodreads. It's called Security Through Absurdity. And since that time, I started doing radio shows, and that's how I met Rob, when I started doing a radio show about the Security Through Absurdity series. And we decided, let's do a show together. We can chat somebody's ear off.
And we've been really good at that. So they can find your books over at RachelLMcIntosh.com, and so I want you to we plug that. But anyway, yeah, so we found out that we kind of share something in common, in that we're looking at the news cycles that are out there and saying, this is really bizarre. What the heck's going on? Why does stuff not make sense? And so, speaking of stuff that maybe doesn't make sense, some people are asking about our little logo there. We seem to have a sectopus. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, I love the logo. I think the logo's awesome. It's an octopus, and it's basically what you have to do as the shadow citizen. We all heard of shadow government, but we're thinking like the person that's walking around, you and I, we're like the shadow citizen who knows something's not quite right, something's not quite kosher, and you have to reach out to all these different news outlets and sources of news and kind of feed yourself with all different stuff and come up with what the reality of the situation is. in order to make informed decisions. For instance, if you're going to pay taxes that are going to go be spent on wars, you're not going to get your news from the mainstream media, because everybody that's involved with that is invested in the same outcomes, meaning they want these military weapons to go to the wars, so they're going to have their news so that happens.
So one of the things that, once we go down this rabbit hole, we've kind of noticed that you have to, sort of pick and choose and correlate your news on your own,
Right.
because we've found out that just because somebody says one thing wrong doesn't mean that all of the information that's coming from them is wrong.
Right.
And so you have to you have to piece things together on your own. And so this is part of the awakening process. And there are a lot of, clunkers out there in the theory. We keep getting these flat Earth people coming up, and I kind of seriously doubt that the flat Earth people have a leg to stand on, but who knows? Anything's possible these days. But yeah, we want to just kind of bring on guests who have done the research and are looking at the world through a different set of eyes than what the mainstream media, offers us. And so we're not going to say that all of our guests are 100% right. We're not going to say that we agree with them 100%, but they do have.
We just want to hear from them.
Absolutely, we want to hear from them. So you want to talk about our first guest?
Yeah. Yes. The next week we're going to have a guest on, and he's the person that was kind of the catalyst that made me want to be involved with finding out more. His name is James Perloff, and he's written a book called Shadows of Power. And it's written a long time ago, and it's a classic. It's sold over 100,000 copies, and it's about the Council on Foreign Relations. And I remember first thing when I was getting involved with the Ron Paul stuff, trying to end the wars, I was like, who the heck's Council on Foreign Relations? I went to a talk that he was giving at some hotel, he had rented out some conference room to give this talk, and I was so blown away by everything he was telling me. I introduced myself to him afterwards, and I said, can I take you out for coffee, or can we talk? And he said, yeah. And we ended up becoming fast friends ever since.
Well, he sent me a copy of his newest book, which is Truth is a Lonely Warrior. And, at first I read through the first 4 chapters, and I go, yeah, I know this. But he was going into more detail and naming the times and places and the names. And I'm not good at that stuff. I'm good at more at the kind of the big picture and trying to put stuff together. But yeah, then I got into the meat of the book, and then he's taking me places where I'm kind of going, oh, I didn't know this before. And he's had a documentary based on this film too, right?
Yes, and the next week after him, we're going to have one of the producers of that movie, Chris Emery. He's going to come talk to us about what got him involved in wanting to find out more about what was going on in the world around him. And it came primarily about Oklahoma City bombing. And they have an excellent film called The Noble Lie, which we're going to talk to Chris Emery about that on Wednesday the 1st.
Okay, and yeah, I've seen that one too, and yeah, great, a lot of detail that you won't hear on the mainstream media. So, why do these guys like Bill Riley and Sean Hannity and Megyn Kelly, why do they make so much money? Well,
right.
Probably a reason. They're getting paid to. They have a charisma value, and they're basically reading teleprompters. So people like Brian Williams make no qualms about that at all. He just says, "Hey, I'm up here to read the news." And so it's this isn't an easy thing, especially if you've been used to believing. I was raised on Walter Cronkite and Dan Rather, and I thought these guys always told us the truth.
Well, they were tucking you to bed at night.
Absolutely.
Have a good night, and they'd shut. Then they shut off the whole station. It was like, wow, what a pleasant dad-like figure.
Yeah, it was the 6 o'clock news for us, and so it was kind of
Okay.
during dinner time. But it was,
Hmm.
yeah, this was where you got the news that America
Yeah, part of your
trusted.
family experience, right?
Right. Sat and watched it with my mom and dad. Usually
Yeah.
dad was there and mom might have been making dinner, but sometimes dad made dinner too. So that was
Hmm. Oh, well, you had a very, that's nice.
well, my mom worked, and so
Yeah.
I have, I probably was an original latchkey kid. I had to learn to fend for myself at a rather young age, but
Hmm. Hmm.
that independence has worked for me, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So,
the week after that, after the 8th, with Sean Stone. So Sean Stone, who was the son of Oliver Stone, is going to be on after Chris Emery. Chris Emery is going to be Wednesday the 1st. Sean Stone is going to be on the 8th. He hosts a show called Buzzsaw, which some of our listeners might be familiar with. And we're very interested to talk about him, about him personally, and about how he got to be in this position of wanting to help people understand what was really going on in the world around them. Because you kind of have to get agitated enough to want to reach out to other people to let them know that other stuff is going on. Then on the 15th, we're talking to Kurt Haskell. Attorney Kurt Haskell was the witness to the underwear bomber, the Christmas Day underwear bomber, getting escorted onto a plane without a passport. And he now lives in Costa Rica. So he'll be talking to us from Costa Rica. And he's going to talk to us about how to identify a false flag situation. And that should be really interesting.
absolutely a great story. There's a lot more to that one too.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that I think triggers a lot of us is that we realize, if you've had any sort of infraction with the law at all, you'll see how some people go to court and they're immune to all the laws that the rest of us, seem to have the book thrown at us, and so we find out that, the laws are selectively enforced. And I'm going to use that little thing because the person who really drove that home for me was Jack Blood. And so do you want to talk about our intro music? Because we both kind of fell in
Oh
love
my
with it.
gosh, our intro music is so awesome. I guess everybody got to hear it like twice, or at least maybe echo chamber. I don't know, but it was Jack Blood. He did that intro music with his band Dead on Cue, and the song is called Opus Consensus.
It's
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's a great tune. It's all instrumental. So I know they have some music up on SoundCloud, and he has a Facebook page too. So and Jack also has another band called Fear Porn, and so this is just Jack getting back to his roots and his love and everything. So we're looking forward to having Jack as a guest at some point.
Yeah, that's not confirmed yet, but we want him as a guest, that's for sure. But I don't have him on. I have this giant calendar. I call it the wall of commitment, and this I have on my wall, and I'm looking at these guests, and so when people are committed, they're on this wall of commitment.
That's good. So one of the people that we have that I know some of our listeners are going to be a big fan of, and that's Ben of Suspicious Observer, although the
Mhm.
date might fluctuate there, right?
Yeah. Well, moving in chronological order from Kurt Haskell, right after Kurt Haskell on the 22nd is Dina Spingola, who's also an intense researcher like James Perloff. In fact, James Perloff recommended her, and we're going to be talking to her. The thing with her is that she is very up on the history of basically these vast conspiracies that tried to control the population as if we were cattle on a farm. She's done vast research into Sandy Hook. I don't know if we're going to talk to her about that, but I don't know how we're going to avoid that. She doesn't believe that the conspiracy, quote unquote, conspiracy theory that nobody died there. She thinks that Adam Lanza came in and shot everybody, and it's all because the main problem there is because of the pharmaceuticals. So that one will be an interesting show on the 22nd, because I have my own doubts about Sandy Hook. I don't know. I honestly don't know what happened at Sandy Hook, But I know that a lot of people vehemently believe that nobody died at Sandy Hook. And of
Yeah,
course, most of America, though, does believe what they read in the newspaper or see on the news, and it did psychologically affect the country as a whole. So that may come up in conversation. I'm going to guess it will, but we might end up talking about these other vast conspiracy-like things that have happened on this planet, which she has a lot of knowledge about.
yeah,
And
and
then,
Deanna is no stranger to controversy because her other big thing that she's done a lot of work on is World War II and what
right,
happened, why we had World War II after World War One, and she has a more favorable light on Hitler than what we're taught in school, and we have to remember that history is written by the victors, and so they always, portray, who was on the opposing team as the ultimate villain, and they portray themselves as, the ultimate good guy. And so we're still living in that, and people still think the United States is the good guy. And although we've started all these wars here that are having really bad consequences, around the world right now, so it's time for more and more of America's citizens to, just look into all this stuff and say, what's the real history behind this? So whether or not you agree with Deanna Spingola, I'm happy to have her on here.
me too. I'm thrilled. I'm all over the place. I think this is great.
Yeah, she will, she's going to jog your mind. She's going to make you look at stuff in a way that, I don't know what to think, but I might want to do some more research. And she is really highly, she documents everything. She shows her where she came up with her information. So she's very good at that. And then after that, we have Catherine Austin.
Catherine Austin Fitts. Yes, Catherine Austin Fitts is my personal hero. And I hope I'm able to talk to her because I love this woman. I am so proud of her. Her story is she was assistant housing, what do you call it? Secretary of Housing. She was the assistant housing secretary under the first George Bush. And she discovered while she was there that through HUD, money was being laundered. And so, vast amounts of money were being laundered. So she brought it to the attention of her superior. And long story short, she ended up having to be investigated herself. And even longer story short, her life started to get threatened and she had to escape Washington, D.C. They had two cars that looked exactly the same and they were driving out and she'd have to jump out and switch cars. And it was really like cloak and dagger stuff. Now she still looks at what's going on with the finances of the United States. And she strongly thinks that money is still being laundered and being pushed around through one of the elements is the secret space program. So it's going to be very interesting to talk to her. I love her. She is so smart. The woman is so smart. She's going to blow your mind.
Yeah, she's another one that, if you hear some of her stuff right off the bat, she's just going to blow you completely out of the water and think, oh, this can't possibly be true. And you're going to try to discredit everything she says. But no, she's another one. She has her own site where she, gives investment on ethical investing. It's called Solari.com. I think it is a pay, site, but anytime you get, YouTube is full of her interviews with lots and lots of people, and she looks into where all the money that we pay in taxes, where it's going, and how much better it would be spent, if we just spent it locally. If you invested locally in the future of your community and your kids, there would be no poverty. I mean, people could work 20-hour a week work weeks, and still do quite well. So
yeah, and the thing is, she's very, she's a money person. So everything comes down to looking at the books and does it make sense? And that's what blows me away because I'm very broad stroke, big picture. If I got a good idea, you just make it happen. Like, we're going to do this radio show. Okay, I need a logo. I need a Twitter account. We got this all together within like a month, and we did it all. And I got all these guests, and she's very methodical, and it all makes sense because she can do it all out by the numbers. And she's just awesome. But nonetheless, so that's Catherine Austin Fitts, and I definitely, I want people to listen to her on Wednesday the 1st. Then I've got 2 days that I'm really trying to get some people in. Maybe Jack Blood will be on the 8th or the 15th, maybe not. But I also trying to get, I'm not going to tell you who I'm trying to get because I don't know. But on the 22nd, that's when we're going to have Ben Davison from Suspicious Observers. And he is so awesome. And hopefully he's not going to get bumped out. His wife's having a baby. And so it might be a little crazy around their house right at that time. But his thing is, he actually started life as a lawyer, and then he's got to be brilliant because he then went on to learn about weather and how the sun affects the earth. So it's not just weather like, oh, clouds going by, and this is more like how what's happening on the sun and actually the whole rest of our solar system, and probably extrapolating from that, the whole universe, what's going on, because we're like we're almost like our own ecosystem here in our solar system. And stuff like global warming or weird earthquakes, they all kind of happen on all the same planets. I mean, all the planets in our solar system. Yeah. So he's trying to warn people that, yeah, there's earth changes, and you could call it climate change or whatever you want, but it's happening all over the place. Even if you look outside of the planet, it's happening all over the place. And he comes on every morning at it's got to be 4:00 a.m. my time, and he does his space weather news, and he's got a couple different websites going, and he's created an app that you can put on your phone that has now been proven to successfully show when there's going to be an earthquake based on the sun.
Yeah, he's got some really bizarre stuff, and I know I was watching him a few years ago, and there are a lot of people in there that were trying to discredit him. But I watch his videos, and I don't watch him I know he puts them out every day, and I don't see him every day, and I think I'm going to start again because I really like his stuff. He has a lot of NASA graphics and a lot from other places, and he just looks for the solar cycles, what the sun is doing. And at a time when the mainstream media and the powers that be are trying to all convince us that we've got global warming or now climate change going on, and so therefore they have to impose this carbon tax on us, to keep us humans from not using so much of that evil carbon. Before internal combustion was even invented, the Earth went through ice ages and hot times, and that's recorded in the glacial records. It's recorded. I live in the Mississippi River Valley, which is 500-foot bluffs, and this is when the last ice age melted away and carved out this valley. And so I mean, climate changes. Well, yep, that happens, but is it because man's internal combustion engine and having too many cows and cow flatulence, or is it a bigger thing? Is it something to do with the sun? So I'm really looking forward to Ben. And
I'm really looking forward to it too, because I know after I saw the movie The Inconvenient Truth, I was freaked out. I was totally freaked out, and then I started hanging out with people like, that is a total lie. And then I couldn't get my head together about what was going on. And it was very confusing. How many years ago was that? Gosh. And they're still doing this to people.
Well, and the thing is that we as humans in general, kind of have a good heart. Most of us do, and so, yeah, we see what man has done to the earth, and so, just because you're not on board with climate change doesn't mean that you don't think that man has done horrendous things to the environment.
Oh yeah, pollution equals bad.
Yeah, pollution.
Tax does not equal the answer. That's what I always say.
Yeah, and that's was it Jefferson? It was probably Jefferson, but something about the ability to tax is the ability to destroy or to end life or whatever. So.
Oh, it sounds pretty good. That sounds a good direct quote. I like that one. That's good. All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad on my memory, so my brain cells have been fused over time. So I'm not a kid anymore, so I have a broader picture of things. I just can't put things in detail.
Yeah, that's all right. I know what you're talking about, though, so that's good. So, yeah, Ben's going to be on Wednesday. It's going to be March 22nd. So that's going to be a good one. Tune into that one. Then we have, for the next week after that, we've got a woman named Anna Baltzer. And you should talk about her. You know much more about her than I do, but I was very, very impressed with her.
Yeah, I just find it that she's just a, extraordinarily courageous young woman, because, she's a Rhodes Scholar. I think she, graduated from Columbia, and, she got involved with all the women's issues type stuff, and she was concerned about human rights in different countries. So she starts traveling. She went and she was visiting Israel, and she saw the refuseniks, the people that were talking about, what you've been taught about the relationship between Israel and Palestine isn't, what's really happened. So she went and she lived, in Palestine for a while, and she just talks about the inconvenience of going through all of these checkpoints and being surrounded by these huge walls, and I wanted to get her on my show to talk about, Trump's wall, because, she's someone who saw that what she had been raised to believe was not accurate, and so she's, out to set the record straight, and she's, a young woman. She's very attractive, and so I'm sure that's, gets a lot of people to look at her videos, but she's very articulate, and she lays out a really, really compelling view of life in occupied Palestine without, showing a bunch of crying and screaming and rockets going off and bombs exploding and people shooting. She just shows day-to-day life, and what would you do if you were in that situation?
Yeah, I think that's a good guest to have, especially as we're entering the Trump era, who he seems very, I think this relationship with Israel is going to be something we're going to have to keep our eyes on while Trump's in office. As it was, not that it's going to be any different than it was when Obama was in office, but I think it's going to get pumped up.
Well, I had, I was hoping to have my computer working a little bit better, and I don't know why it works fine, when I'm doing my show, and then I switch over and do this show, and I had all the echo effects.
It's a disaster, Rob. It's a disaster. All right, so.
So anyway, we do have some clips, but I wanted to do a clip, from Dick Gregory, the black comedian statesman who's been around for forever, and and I believe he's run for president himself at one time. But yeah, he had a clip out there and talking about the, Donald Trump, his different tie colors and what they mean. So he had a red tie. Donald will either be seen in a red tie or a blue tie. And so this is the introduction that I'm going to, play that this is Rachel's thing. And so I'm going to sit and listen with everybody else. But I've got a 22-second introduction here.
Shadow Citizen presents the Necktie Color Report. And now for this week's interpretation of the subliminal messaging in necktie color as shown in this week's photos distributed by the mainstream media.
Hello and welcome to the first ever Shadow Citizen Color Report, Tie Color Report. This will be a regular feature on Shadow Citizen where I report on what colored neckties the politicians and other important people have been wearing for the past week. This information will be accompanied by my commentary about the psychological and physiological significance of that tie choice and whether the tie was effective for the situation. The images I am studying for this report have been distributed to millions of viewers across the planet via the mainstream media. It's important to remember that the appearance of a necktie in the media not only acts as a graphic design element, it often acts as a type of flag or a signal. Artists and psychologists have studied the impact of color for centuries now, and seeing as it has long been known that a gentleman's necktie is the only vestige of individuality available for self-expression within the confines of the business suit, the choice of that tie is very important. I know this because I was often asked to select neckties for executives before they did interviews on TV. And when I worked as a marketing communications specialist at a defense contractor, I did this necktie selection stuff for the people I worked for. It was then that I became highly aware of the significance of the necktie. Not only can they show the type of mood or personality the wearer has, they can also be used to convey subtle but ultimately indelible mental images that, when projected into the minds of millions of people who are often illiterate or darn near close, these little splashes of color and pattern work to reinforce or negate, in some cases, the overall message being conveyed. If you follow my personal page over at Facebook, you've seen my obsession with tie color. For instance, I freaked out on December 9th when Ash Carter, the United States Defense Secretary, was wearing a green tie while giving a speech about how the U.S. would remain committed to Afghanistan. He was sporting an important-looking medal on his left jacket pocket. This image got picked up by the big media outlets, where it was broadcast and tweeted. Even before I knew what the speech was about, I was very curious about this green tie. When does the U.S. Defense Secretary show up wearing a green tie? So I researched it for like 30 seconds on the web, and I found out there's this thing called Afghanistan Green Trend, or the National Movement. It's a political party in Afghanistan, created by a former Afghan intelligence chief who visited cities and small towns in several Afghan provinces, talking about his political beliefs in favor of democracy and reform, but strongly opposing the Taliban. In May 2011, more than 20,000 of this guy's followers took part in an anti-Taliban demonstration in the capital of Kabul. So this answered my questions to why this U.S. Secretary of Defense, Ash Carter, was wearing that green tie. The green meant something very specific to the audience in Afghanistan. I didn't even listen to the full speech. It didn't matter. The green tie told me what he was trying to get across regardless of what he had said about being, quote unquote, committed to Afghanistan. Committed is a word often used in military press releases, meaning we're going to kill a lot of people. Or he could have been saying that even though we're drawing down the troops, we're sending you support through other means. See, I didn't listen to the speech. I saw the green tie, which means he wants the people in Afghanistan to know that he and the U.S. are pro-democracy, pro-reform, and anti-Taliban. And that's when I realized I really had to do a tie color report on Shadow Citizen. I figured it would be easier to produce than a weekly neuro-linguistic programming report. So without any further ado, let's review this past week's images. Early in the week, at his first press conference, President-elect Donald Trump emerged as expected in a red power tie. Red, as we all know, represents power and authority and aggression, which is why you would see stock photos of him in red on CNN and MSNBC, even though he had actually been wearing blue that day. Those outlets needed to push the subliminal fear factor to keep their audience, who thrives on the emotional reaction to Trump, satiated. You will notice that Trump had been sporting blue ties exclusively through his cabinet selection after the electoral college was over. The blue tie stint was visually to calm people down and show support of Israel, I'm pretty sure. The blue ties also allowed for the focus to be on the cabinet pics and the press photos. It was a way to show respect by not visually overpowering them on the photos. Interestingly, when Trump moved into the blue ties during that time, so did most of all the other Republicans who were hoping to gain favor with him. Anyway, it was December 21st when I noticed that the shift back to red for Trump. It was very good choice given the publicized assassination of the Russian ambassador and the German truck Christmas market fiasco. Red always draws your eye to it, it holds your gaze, and it makes you subliminally snap to attention. Seeing that Trump was dealing with the whole golden shower circus, which conveniently diverted the full effort of the press from probing him or his transition team about the billionaires that he had appointed to his cabinet and the random people that he got super special top secret clearance for as personal advisors, i.e. Henry Kissinger, billionaire investor Carl Icahn, and his son-in-law, Ivanka's husband, Jared Kushner. The red was an excellent choice for this contentious press conference. I'm expecting to see him in red all the time now. It will be noteworthy when he's not. Next week, I will keep you posted on any fluctuation in the Trump tie color choice and talk about the color purple.
Well, for your handyman, mountain man co-host here, that's, geez. I've seen this stuff in on YouTube and that, everything on YouTube. Woo. But anyway, they talk about the hand gestures and this kind of stuff. But this, is even more direct. It's just they're not flashing anything. This is what they're going to go out and present themselves with in the public. And so you're saying that each one, each color of the tie represents a specific thing that they're trying to portray to the people in the know.
Yeah, it's basically, if you're going to be seen by that many people, millions of people, you're going to become a caricature. And it's very important that flash of you being shown to the world, to that many people in a very short amount of time, every single thing about your appearance reinforces the message that you're trying to get out at that moment.
So yeah, even though, somebody might be out in public someplace, say there's, sitting in a bar that has multiple, TVs on, and they might have the game on one channel where the music or the sound is up, and then they have a TV on a different channel that's, throwing out some news images, and you might be watching the game, but out of the corner of your eye you'll see, Trump has got his red tie on. So what's he up to?
Yeah, that's his power tie. He's in charge. That's what that means. The ties are important. Ask any lawyer about this. They know it's important to wear the right tie for the right case. You're supposed. This is a big deal.
Huh. It's very interesting to me because I don't even own a suit anymore, and.
Yeah, it's true, because that's interesting too, because the whole suit thing, that was pretty much a whole generation's dads going out to work in a suit, and then that went away. We don't see that anymore at all. And
then there's there are people that we could get on that go into the whole Mason thing, where the necktie actually represents the hangman's noose that you put around your neck to become a Freemason. So
right.
and then there are the people that are a little bit quirky, and they're the ones that wear the bow tie. So yeah, this is interesting stuff. I'm going to pay more attention to your report.
Okay, sure. No, I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, and so now during, we got to talk. This is our inaugural show, and in 2 days we have the inauguration of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And the amount of organization that's going into the opposition, they're organizing the gays, the feminists, the environmentalists. They're organizing everybody to be there, and they're holding little events. It's just bizarre.
You mean? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Women's March, you mean?
Oh yeah, the Women's March is part of it, but yeah, they have every day they're kind of schooling a different agenda, whether it's the gay agenda or the Women's March is probably going to be the biggest one. But
well, yeah. Then there's that Disrupt J20.
Absolutely. So
yeah. And so that one's the one that's mystifying to me, because they have an awesome website. They have a really cool website, and they're literally listing what they're going to do. So
at what day and at what time?
Yeah, they have a full schedule of events of how they're just going to disrupt everything. So I don't know if that's just to get more resources pulled away from where they're supposed to be? I don't know, because either that or it's all just a setup.
Well, this has been going on for a while, and I've heard other show hosts talking about how these ads are being run on Craigslist. For people that are looking for a job, and they're going, are you an active protester? Do you have political leanings to such and such? Well, why not get paid? If you attend 5 events a year, we will pay you for those events. And
card-carrying disruptor, yeah. Why not?
And also apply, give them their health insurance and
I was just going to say, they get health insurance, don't they?
Dental and vision. I don't have all of that, so I'm kind of like, geez, I wonder if I could go in and just take videos from behind the scenes. I think I'd be found out pretty quick, but just because I have a hard time not saying exactly what's on my mind, so it's my mixed blessing. It gets me in trouble, but also I don't know. So anyway, yeah, we've got great shows coming up, and this is going to be a lot of fun, and my nerves have now settled down from our little train wreck that we...
Oh my gosh. How did that happen? It was just because it was like a feedback thing?
Yeah, and I don't know, because when I logged in as Shadow Citizen instead of MN-Rob, which is my other show here on Mixlr, apparently it must have reset the settings to to the original, so there must be some monitor that I have to turn off. And since I've been
some master toggle switch somewhere, yeah,
someplace, because I had the sites open. I was logged into Shadow Citizen as both Minnesota Rob and as Shadow Citizen, and I had the mute button on, so it didn't show any sound coming through. But
and I had my headphones on as you had instructed, so yeah.
And so
it's a mystery.
Once I shut everything down, then it went away. So it is on my end, and I'll just have to figure out what's going on here. But yeah, I've been having tech issues the last couple of days because Minnesota has had, well, at least the southeast section of it here has been having freezing rain. So I went out for a little walk this morning. There's like an inch of ice on all the sidewalks and all the streets, and so it's pretty incredible. But anyway,
so the global warming was kicking in over at your place.
It is today. The sun's out, and I see the dripping off the roof when I look out the window. So it's a gorgeous day out there. So. But I got to go trek to other places, and I'll be walking on the ice, and wet ice now, which is even worse. So, but so our show is going to hopefully go a lot more smoothly after this, and I've got some...
Oh, it's gonna, and it's awesome. It's already awesome. I already love it. I love our logo. I love our theme song. Thank you, Jack Blood, for that theme song. It's awesome. Our logo is fantastic, and that's going to be on T-shirts pretty soon. And I think what I'm going to do is have it on a coffee mug, even though the web designer, the web design is awesome as well. The web designer said, don't put it on a coffee mug, because every single time he's gotten a coffee mug with a logo on it, the place is going out of business. Said, I never put it on a coffee. But I think I want to put it on a coffee mug and then send it to our guests. And so then we could take a picture of them, and then we could send, with the coffee mug and send that out to viral,
Absolutely. And the other thing that would really help us is at the bottom of our website there. Once again, ShadowCitizen.online. You can print out little flyers. You can print out bookmarks. And so if everybody would do that, and I know it's a lot to ask to put it up at work, and you probably don't want to get caught printing them at work.
Put it up at a coffee shop or even library or something.
Or just outside on the telephone post. I'm going to put them up around campus if they will let me. I have to get permission to do that, and I always do, but usually they're okay with it. So, so that would help us, get out there and get known. And, we want to be very open and inclusive. We're going into areas that I think more and more people will be open to, because, the anti-war left kind of fell asleep during the Obama administration. And if nothing else, I think the Trump administration is going to wake up the anti-war left. So,
or amazingly, he might have to tone it down. He might have to, just because I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
but go.
Well, I see that he, is already going to let or commute the remaining sentence of Chelsea Manning or Bradley
I
Manning.
know. I saw that. I saw that.
And
What about Julian Assange? Him saying, "Oh, I'll come back."
he said he'd come back and stand trial if
Yeah.
they did that. So now will he live up to his to his word? So yeah, because Assange has not been in prison, and Manning has been, and his life has not been well. So this is also kind of a strategic ploy by Obama, and by saying, well, if you're a whistleblower, people might stand up for you. You're not going to be sent to whatever the. Now I'm forgetting the name of the organization that stands up for people who are prisoners of conscience. I'm blanking on the name.
UCLA.
Well, one of those, yeah. But yeah,
Wait,
Amnesty International is who I'm thinking
wait,
of.
UCLA is a university. What the heck? Okay.
Okay, so we're all going.
Talk at this point. All right, yeah, we're getting dosed over here. What's going on? This is not cool.
My brain is foggy anyway, and I make so it's kind of a loose, it's a mixed blessing, because sometimes I make connections that I don't hear other people making, but other times I forget stuff completely. So
yeah.
But
well, that happens, with age and whatnot.
Well, I find too that it's kind of an interesting how Amnesty International has the saying, prisoners of conscience. And isn't that what a whistleblower is? There's someone who, has, their conscience is bothering them and says, look, I can't live with that. I'm not going to sit still for this. I got to say something, and it's probably going to get me in trouble. But yeah, and then, on the other end of the spectrum, the CFR people, they I don't know if people who follow the Alex Jones stuff know about the Bilderbergers and what's the one in California that they meet and go through the cremation of care. They try to, eliminate their conscience.
What? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's and I had
Scientologists?
Nope. They do it in the Redwoods, and I'm trying to think of what it is. It's not the Bilderbergers. It's another group that meets there, and I will remember as soon as I get off air. But right now I'm under pressure, so I won't remember it. But we'll do a report on that too. So. But anyway, yeah, this is something that Alex Jones broke in and saw, and they've got this giant owl.
Wow. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so, and that ceremony is called the cremation of care. So I find that, they don't want to care. They don't want to have a conscience. So they go through this ritual to get rid of, I don't want to think about all the people that I'm making their life miserable. I just want to be more rich and have more power. So.
Right.
So I find those two ends, opposite ends of the spectrum. Although most of the major fundraising organizations out there, I think you really have to look into them to see how their money is spent. Look at the Clinton Global Initiative. Of all the money that they raise, it's like only 5% of it actually gets out to the,
Yeah, they're out now. That place is getting shut down. They just saw the paperwork for that.
And they will keep all that money. The Clintons will keep all the money that they raised, and very little of the money that people sent in, for whatever cause, whether it was Haitian relief or, Save the Children or whatever. Those organizations really didn't see the money. So
yeah, apparently they hired 22 people, and so they put in their paperwork to lay off those 22 people, and therefore it effectively is shut down.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that Jack could really talk about, because he was into the Clinton Global Initiative well before I heard anybody else talking about it. So I'm sure he would love to talk on that. And, Jack's just a wealth of information. We all miss him because he was really good at what he did.
Yeah, he'd never do anything like this on purpose with our theme song. Rob.
Yeah, well, no, and I confess that to shorten it up, it's a long 4 minute thing, and so to fit our
Yeah.
format here, I had to do some chopping on it. So,
Yeah.
and I hate to do that, without the artist's permission. But Jack did say we
No,
could
no,
use.
he gave us the permission. He said, "Do whatever you want."
Yeah, I think we're okay there, and we're trying to give proper credit to him too, and hopefully, I know that's his first love is music, and the politics just kind of came along afterwards, and he just happens to be very good at it. So maybe we'll entice him back into here, but I can see why he left, because it's an absolute swamp, no matter whose side you're on. The others, and even if you're not on any of the sides, if you say anything bad about Trump, you're a Hillary supporter. If you say anything bad about Hillary, you're a Trump supporter. So it's a no-win situation. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, we got 10 minutes left here, or maybe not. I had a test run yesterday, and it's this Mixler thing that's going on where I think today's show will be limited to 56 minutes. So I guess we got 5 minutes left here. So what else do you want to talk about?
Oh, what I want to talk about?
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't know. I'm kind of excited about this inauguration. I want to see what happens here, because it's going to be it's to get people's attention, and it should be like a party, because that's what it's all about. But it's going to be a circus. It's going to be a total circus, and we're going to be able to see everybody in their fancy, expensive dresses. And then, of course, we have the Women's March going on, and we're going to see them in their pink crocheted hats that they've been doing. These, call them pussy hats. So we're going to have this vast army of people marching around in hats looking like vaginas. So it's going to be a circus in every direction. We really will be able to see this, and we're writing history, and it's interesting.
Well, this, right away with this push to get all the women there in the Women's March, I can't help but think of the torches of freedom and Edward Bernays, trying to get women to smoke, at a time when it was taboo for women to smoke. So they made this big publicity stunt out of it. So is this, going to be, well, of course it's going to be used for other things, but could there be some giant event that will also come up on this to really divide the people?
Well, at very least, every single person that shows up to either one of those events is going to be included in a facial recognition database.
Oh, that's something to think about there. Yeah, absolutely.
Any event that you go to that has to do with this inauguration, whether you're pro, con, or whatever, if you show up at an event, you're in a facial recognition database. And some people are like, whatever, I don't care, I'm on Facebook, big book. But now they've got even more, they know that you're motivated to actually act. Whereas on Facebook, you're at home eating chips and having a cup of coffee or whatever. You're not really motivated. You're just an armchair warrior.
And you might not even be who people think you are. You might have a fake name, and you're out there just flaming everybody, which is probably the other thing. So the other person I want to thank is Jared over at Radio Confluence, who is simulcasting this show. And so I will probably clean this up a little bit and try to get rid of some of the echo at the beginning and tack it back together. And then so there'll be some replays over there, and we've got some excellent shows. We just on before us at Radio Confluence was Media Monarchy, and he will come back in an hour now and do a music show. And then Courage Sower does a Wednesday night show, and he's done a lot on James Perloff, or not a lot, but he's done a show on that. So this is this community growing outside of the mainstream community, because we've become our own journalists, and we're sharing ideas. No one person has all the answers right, and as long as we can evolve in our way of thinking, I think we're at least participants in a brighter future, So
yeah, it's a nice way to look at it. Either that, or we're just cranky.
Okay, I'm gonna play this one song, and let's see what we think about it.
stormy sea. If that's what it takes me, baby.
Okay, I can't go with that one. So
No. Why not? We gotta play something a little more, a little more topical. Let's play something about politics.
Okay, how about if we go out with this one then?
Oh. Thanks for the show. This was a great show.
All right, thank you, Rachel, and we will see you next week. Okay.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you so much for being here with us.
All right. Goodbye. Thanks.